I'm 75 years old, and the first time faith failed me was when my best friend died beside a road I still avoid. I thought belief would carry me through life. I thought I had time. I was wrong. I don't say that with anger anymore. At my age, anger takes too much effort. This is something quieter. The room I'm in now is small. A chair by the window. A table with a Bible I haven't opened in months. The pages are thin. They always were. They make a sound when you turn them, even if you're careful. That sound used to calm me. It doesn't anymore. When you're young, you think loss will arrive with explanation. I thought it would too. It doesn't. When I was 23, my best friend died in a car accident. One moment he was laughing. The next, there was nothing left to say. He was a good man, better than me in ways that mattered. He helped people without being asked. He noticed things I overlooked. I remember standing at his funeral, listening to the words people always say. God's plan. A better place. A reason we couldn't understand yet. And for the first time in my life, I felt angry. Not sad. Angry. Because none of it fit what I had just seen. You probably think grief feels soft at first. I thought it would. It felt sharp. I remember the casket, the polished wood, the way the sun hit it and made it shine like it was proud of something. That bothered me more than it should have. That anger started something in me I couldn't put back. I began asking questions, real ones. Not the kind you ask in church where everyone already knows the answer. The kind that make people look away. I read everything. The Bible, yes. But also the Quran, Buddhist texts, Hindu philosophy, even the writings of people who believed in nothing at all. I told myself I was searching. I told myself this was faith deepening. This is the part people don't warn you about. Sometimes searching is just running in a circle. In my 30s, I settled down. I married. I worked. I went to church every Sunday. From the outside, it all looked steady. And in many ways, it was. Faith gave me structure. It told me where to stand. It told me what questions not to ask out loud. I learned how to sound certain even when I wasn't. You probably think doubt announces itself. I thought it would too. It doesn't. It waits. There's a pew in the old church I used to attend. Third row from the front, left side. I always sat there. I remember running my thumb along the edge of the wood while sermons went on, feeling the small chips, the places where other hands had worn it smooth. That was my ritual, more than prayer. I told myself everything was fine, that this was what belief looked like after maturity. By my 40s, I was respected. People came to me with questions. They assumed I knew. I let them. This is where the illusion settles in. When you're trusted, it feels wrong to admit you're unsure. I didn't notice it when it started. That matters. Faith stopped being something I lived with. It became something I maintained. I said the words. I bowed my head. I stood when everyone else stood. Inside, something stayed untouched. At 66, my body slowed down. That's when the noise finally faded enough for me to hear myself. The turning point wasn't dramatic. It was a hospital hallway. White walls. a chair bolted to the floor, a clock that ticked too loudly for such a serious place. I was waiting for test results. Nothing life-ending, just enough to remind me I wasn't permanent. I remember staring at my hands. They looked older than I felt. That's when it hit me. If faith was supposed to save me, why was I still afraid? This is the midpoint. This is where the belief breaks. I realized I had been using faith the way some people use routine, to avoid silence, to avoid the unanswered. I went home that day and sat alone at the kitchen table. No prayer, no reading, just quiet. It was unbearable at first. Then it wasn't. I started taking inventory, not of sins, of moments. The phone calls I ended quickly because I needed to get to church. The conversations I redirected when they got uncomfortable. The questions my children asked that I answered with certainty instead of honesty. There's a voicemail I saved on an old phone. A friend asking if we could talk. I never called back. I told myself God would handle it. He didn't. You probably think belief makes loss easier. I thought it would. It just delayed it. When people asked me if I still believed, I learned how to respond carefully. I said yes. I meant something else. What I believed in now was order, familiar words, predictable endings. That's not the same thing. I don't blame faith for everything. That would be too simple. I blame how I used it. I used it to stop asking, to stop sitting with uncertainty, to stop listening when answers didn't come. There's a chair in my living room I don't use anymore. It faces the window. That's where I used to sit with my Bible in the mornings. Now I sit there without it. The light comes in the same way. That part didn't change. You probably think this story ends with clarity. It doesn't. It ends with acceptance. Here's the quiet truth I learned too late. Faith doesn't protect you from confusion. It only tells you how to behave inside it. Time doesn't care what you believe. It keeps moving either way. At 75, the days feel thinner. Not fewer, just lighter. There's less weight in them. Less room to hide behind words. I don't wake up angry anymore. I wake up aware. There are things I will never understand, and I no longer need to. That's not peace. It's something simpler. It's knowing when to stop pretending you're certain. If you're listening and thinking this will all sort itself out later, I understand. I thought that too. Later is quiet, and it doesn't explain itself. I'll be here again, if you are.